Calling CQ on 5-2. These are the Chronicles of 5-2. This is the last video in the series for the Amelia Island road trip. There is a link in the description and on the card above with a playlist for the entire series. So I'm going on a long road trip. Besides listening to podcasts like Live Free and Ham or Ham Radio Workbench, what do I do? Calling CQ on 146.52 seems like a reasonable idea. That is precisely what I did. From the time I left my home until the time I got back to my home, the main VFO in my mobile was on 146.52. I tried to call every 10 minutes or so. Sometimes I might forget and go 30 minutes without calling, but for the most part, every 10 minutes or so,
K9 OL Mobile 52
was a thing. It made me wish I had my IC705 in the car for this trip. Using the voice keyer would have been a lot nicer. How many QSOs do you think you can rack up by calling CQ on 52 while driving roughly 2,800 miles? I'll keep a tally going as we travel south and then back home. Hindsight. I should have kept the notebook handy. Scrubbing through all these audio files was a tedious task. The first file alone is over 2 hours and 14 minutes. My house is roughly 2 hours north of Indianapolis. I have said it before and I'm saying it again now. In Indianapolis, 146.520 is busier than a repeater. I'm not surprised that this was my first response to calling on 52 for 2 hours. The radio starts to break squelch about 18 miles north of Indianapolis, and when I say this, I'm talking about the interchange of I-69 and I-465. Once the transmissions get to the point where I can actually make out a voice, I throw my call into the mix.
Jim, you copying the mobile in there?
Yeah, who's the mobile?
Good morning, folks. I'm only hearing maybe one or two of the sides of the conversation. This is Kilo 9er Oscar Lima, K9OL Carlos. Good morning.
Where you at, mobile station?
K9OL, what's your location at 9PU?
Heard now, I think it disappeared. The mobile station, try it again.
Good morning, fellas. K9OL. I am on 69 southbound, passing 216. Just cruising through Indianapolis on my way to Florida this morning.
Okay, you'll be getting closer to us than the guy that's down south and out there. I'm over by Mount Comfort Airport or over. I'm about 4 miles north of 70 on the east side of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I got about a quarter mile to go. If you shout on the way out, maybe I'll give our people a shout, okay? W9 SJS will be clear. Alright, W9 RTV.
November 9 Delta Uniform. Not sure if I got that right. When I get home, I have to look this one up. The call comes back to a person in Neenah, Wisconsin. Not anywhere close to Indianapolis. I certainly have this wrong. Whatever, it's a contact, right? Then there's Bob and Steve, Whiskey Niner, Sierra, Juliet Sierra from Greenfield. And then I hear Whiskey Niner, Romeo Tango Bravo, Randall from Bartlett, Illinois. That can't possibly be right. Whiskey Niner, Romeo Golf Bravo, Victor. The right state, but still too far to be the right call sign.
KB98WS.
Kilo Bravo Niner, Alpha Whiskey Sierra, Bernard in Indy. Definitely a good call, I think. As I work my way around Indianapolis on I-465 and south to Kentucky on I-65, I get a call from Kilo Delta Niner, Yankee Golf Mike, Matthew and Franklin. I keep calling on 52, but I don't get any more replies until I get just north of the Indiana-Kentucky border.
KY4 Kilo Yankee 4 Tango Sierra Mobile. Good morning.
Kilo Yankee 4 Tango Sierra. Russell is traveling and also listening and calling on 52. A little farther down the road,
KJ4 GMR, we're going to try it one more time.
Kilo Hotel 4, Golf Mike Oscar, Cassidy in Bardstown, Kentucky. I have the wrong call here again, I think. On the recording, he says his name is Frank. Maybe he's Kilo Juliet 4, Golf Mike Romeo? Jackie in Cottonwood, Tennessee? Still the wrong name. Still gonna count it, though. Through the rest of Tennessee and Georgia, nothing else heard on this day. Tomorrow is another day. Friday morning, I set off from Peachtree City for Brunswick. Not as early as I would have liked to, but such is life. Atlanta Metro traffic strikes again. Down the road I go. I keep calling, and I finally get someone.
Hello, KB4 DSF. Can you read me?
Kilo Bravo 4, Delta Sierra Fox, Wade. I was near Fort Stewart, Georgia, and that is a long haul to Brunswick, but we made the QSO happen. At that point, he had me switch over to a local repeater, which was harder to get than the Simplex QSO. Once I was done in Amelia Island, I decided to keep heading south to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My folks live there, and I can't be this close to them and not pay them a visit. The 7th of December is a quiet drive. I called and got no replies. I made it to Fort Lauderdale with 0 contacts made from northern Florida all the way to South Florida. Yes, I have video of surprising my mom. No, I won't be putting it on online. She was wearing her jammies, and she would kill me if I ever published that. I love you, viejita. The return trip to Indiana starts on the 9th of December. My plan is to be in Kentucky by tonight. A little foreshadowing here. The best laid plans of mice and men oft go awry. I left Fort Lauderdale early, 6 a.m., and on to the Florida Turnpike I go. Call on 5-2, then call some more, and I finally get...
I feel for you. W4 Kilo Victoria Whiskey Mobile, westbound on I-10.
Outstanding. You know what? I've been calling CQ on 5-2 since I left Fort Lauderdale, and you are the first to respond today.
Well, things are going good for me. I went to Maine and Pennsylvania several years ago, and I called on 4652 from Florida all the way to Maine and Pennsylvania. And I made 3 QSOs the entire trip I was going to Maine and Pennsylvania, so...
Whiskey 4 Kilo Victor Whiskey, Clayton, on the road on I-10. That's a long stretch of Florida with 0 QSOs heading south and 0 QSOs heading north. Keep in mind that I-10 in Florida is almost running at the state line with Georgia. Not much later than that, I get...
N4VHF Live Oak, N4VHF Mobile Online Interstate 10 near Live Oak.
November 4 Victor Hotel Foxtrot, Hall. N4 VHF. Yep, this guy loves doing VHF work. Into Georgia, I had to stop for food and fuel. The Buc-ee's I go. Shortly after that, I get November 9er Fox Zulu.
November 9, Fox Zulu N9FC Mobile on 5-2.
Kilo 9er Oscar Lima 5-2. Good afternoon.
Kilo 9er Oscar Lima, nice to meet you here on Simplex. I got you loud and clear over here in Barry.
Well, I was just about to call CQ, and there you are. I've been calling CQ since I left Fort Lauderdale, and I think you're my 3rd contact on 5-2 since I left this morning.
Okay, you were just south of my location by about 2 miles. Once you get to exit 138, I'm right off the school over here picking up kids. But yeah, I saw your APRS message, and I was like, okay. I seen you said you were on 5-2, so I called out.
So you're saying APRS works. I'm going to have to tell that to Mike, K8MRD. I don't know if you've seen him or heard of him.
No, I don't want to be in one of his YouTube videos, so you can leave me out of that.
Oh, come on, man. Tell you what, I'll tell him about this, and I won't give him the call sign, K9OL.
Hey, all right, that'll work. You just say a random guy came back to me on APRS. It was the only time it ever came into work.
Canaan, near Perry, Georgia. Canaan saw my APRS beacon while he was in his car and decided to give a call out on 5-2 right before I was going to do that. Northbound I continue into a nice bit of traffic just south of Macon. I get Kilo Echo 4, Lima Romeo Sierra.
This is KE4 LRS. Kevin in Warner Robins.
Kevin in Warner Robins, Georgia. Farther down the road I get...
This is Kilo Juliet 4, Oscar Papa Yankee. Name's Jamie.
Kilo Juliet 4, Oscar Papa Yankee, Jamie in Blanton, Georgia. I made it as far as Jasper, Tennessee that night. Between the traffic in Kissimmee, the traffic in Macon, the weather and the traffic in Chattanooga, I didn't make it anywhere near as far as I had hoped. I get dinner and settle down for the night. Tomorrow is another day. Up early again on the 10th, time to make some tracks for home. North through Tennessee I roll. Looking at my GPS track after the fact, I see I drove right past Smart Jason, KM4ACK. Had I realized I was that close, I would have given him a call to have some coffee with him. I keep calling on 5-2 and I get...
This is Kilo Quebec 4, Hotel Zulu.
Kilo Oscar 4, Hotel Zulu Kilo, Aaron in Livermore, Kentucky. Farther down the road, now in Indiana. In Jeffersonville, I get Whiskey 1, Tango Oscar Delta, James.
Whiskey 1, Tango Oscar Delta, W1 TOD.
Ever so slightly north of there, in Columbus, Indiana, I get Kilo Fox 9, India Hotel, Paul.
Good afternoon, northbound. Have a good trip. KF9IH.
The radio is actually crackling here, a little farther north. November 9er, Victor Oscar, James, on his way to Batesville, Indiana.
That's November 9, Victor Oscar, N9VO. Go ahead, sir.
N9VO, good afternoon. K9OL, heading to Fort Wayne. I started in Fort Lauderdale yesterday.
I heard you before say hello to Indianapolis, but I was so shocked to see anything on Simplex here. I had to put the radio in search so I could find it again. But anyway, the name here is Jim, Juliet, India Mike. I'm eastbound on 74, heading down toward Batesville there, over.
As I come into Indianapolis, the place I know where 5-2 is hot, I get
K9OL, good afternoon, K9HC Mobile.
Kilo 9, Hotel Charlie Alpha, Jim from Cumberland. That is just east of Indianapolis.
Well, add another one to your list, WD9JC. I am in Indianapolis.
Whiskey Delta 9er, Juliet Charlie Echo, James in Indianapolis. And then
W9SJS, hello.
Whiskey 9er, Sierra Juliet Sierra, Stephen in Greenfield.
Fort Wayne, K9DC.
Kilo 9er, Delta Charlie, Dave in Indianapolis. My last contact from the trip, none other than...
K9OL and 9PU. Dave is on the northwest side of Indy. He's quite a ways from you.
November 9er, Papa Uniform, Richard in Noblesville, Indiana. Remember that southbound contact I couldn't make out on the phone call? Yeah, that was Richard, the very first contact on the trip. Do I count him twice or just once for this tally? I'm going to count him twice. If I count all the calls where I didn't get the right call sign logged, I have 23 QSOs on 5-2 over 2,800 miles. That averages out to 1 QSO every 121 miles. Not as dense as I would have hoped for, but not bad. Clearly, Indianapolis is pulling up the average on this by a lot. That's all I have on this one. 7-3. See you guys on the next one.